Great game. 50 seconds to go. Hurts. Deep shot. Hauled in. Devontae.
Sure.
And before the press conferences even start. I mean, we could talk for 45 minutes just about how atrocious the defense is.
And good morning, everybody. Welcome to Trending in the AM right here on DSM Media Live. As always, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube. You know the drill. Smash those like buttons, share buttons, retweet buttons. And on YouTube, make sure you hit that subscribe button. It's the easiest way to get involved with the conversation is right there on YouTube. You can comment on the show, and I can put your comments like this right on the screen. Mad Maxey, play that song 10-9-8-76. After a big win last night for the 76ers, which we will dive into today. I am Phil Stifle, your host, joined as always by my main man, Jason Voorhees at Mustang3651, and all shows right here on DSM Media are brought to you by Manscaped, the leader in men's grooming product, the GOAT in below-the-waist maintenance. Make sure you check them out, manscaped.com. Use promo code DSM, the name of the brand, DSM, at checkout to get you 20% off, free shipping, and let them know Team DSM sent you. Anyway, welcome to the show, Jason. How you doing today?
Doing good. What's going on, brother?
Not much, man. Not much at all. Glad to have you back on. You missed Overreaction Monday, and I know you would have loved to be a part of Overreaction Monday yesterday after some great football on Sunday. And we will get into that football on Sunday if you have anything you want to say about it. But we're going to start with some Sixers talk today, and then talk about the big win, and then we're going to get into something interesting that I've been talking about for a few weeks with the draft and the Eagles, and something that I put out on Twitter yesterday. It was a mock draft from Jimmy Kempski, and I want to get into that. So that's going to be the second half of the show. So good morning, George. Afternoon for you. How you doing today? But last night, six. Oh, actually, hold on. National Calendar Day. I almost forgot yesterday. I almost forgot today. Really stupid national days today. Nothing exciting. We got some really good ones later in the week, but today is February 1st, new month, fresh month, and it is National Freedom Day. And Jason, this one's for me and you because I know getting up early is tough for me and you. Today is National Get Up Day. We got up today, so we are already celebrating the day properly. So National Get Up Day and National Dark Chocolate Day. It's actually my favorite type of chocolate. So yeah. That is what today is. What's up, Adam? How you doing? Thanks for checking in this morning. National Get Up Day. We've already succeeded today, right?
Yeah, I have a hard time getting up I am not a morning person at all. Never have been. Even though a lot of times I got to be up early for work, but yeah. Not my thing, man. Not my thing.
Not at all. Anyway, all right, let's dive into it. Like I said, we got to get to the Eagles talking a little bit. So I want to talk Sixers. Big win last night. Minus Joel Embiid. He had a scheduled rest day yesterday. Much deserved rest day. Played 21 plus straight games. And you could just tell in the last couple games, especially against the Lakers and a few others, that he was gassed. I mean, he's literally been carrying this team on his back nonstop. And for 7 foot tall, 285-pound man, playing that kind of level for that long. You could see it. So everybody just assumed, going up against the number 3 seed in the West, the Memphis Grizzlies, an excellent team. Excellent team. Well drafted, well coached, well built, well put together. I mean, there's not enough great stuff I could say about the Memphis Grizzlies. But last night, Tyrese Maxey, Tobias Harris stepped up and had massive games. Tyrese Maxey, 33 points, 8 assists, 4 block shots. I mean, that's insane right there. Tobias Harris, 31 points, 5 assists, 5 rebounds, 2 blocks. We literally had 12 block shots last night. I mean, it was intense. Andre Drummond stepping in. Guy plays 15, 16 minutes a night. Played 43 minutes last night in Joel's absence. 16 points, 23 rebounds, 3 more blocks. There's not much to say other than I love to see when a team gives their superstar the night off and everybody else steps up their game. I mean, it's refreshing to see. It's refreshing that this team didn't just cave and fold up shop and be like, we're missing Joel. We're playing one of the best teams in the league. We'll just throw the towel in on this one right away. And they They didn't do that. They actually played great. They were actually up 10, 12 points a lot of the game. Obviously Memphis made a nice run to close the gap and tie it, send it into overtime. But, man, I love to see people step up in the absence of superstars.
Absolutely. I mean, I don't know if I didn't know if you caught it, but a couple times that, the camera kind of went to Embiid and the big fella, like his smile was just like ear to ear. Like you could just tell that he was happy that, even though he was off, and obviously, Embiid, the competitor, he wants to be out there every day. Right. So obviously, he's probably like in his mind, like, damn, I wish I was on the court. But just the fact that, like you said, that the team came to, kind of rose to a different level without him. To me, it's a sign of maturity for this team. Absolutely. But I am so excited because I've been pounding the drum, and obviously, I say it all the time, but I'm getting more knowledgeable just by doing these shows with you and listening to Scotty about basketball. But I have the eye test, and I've been a huge Maxey supporter since day one. And I know a lot and I'm not saying there's a lot of people out there that don't like Maxey, but there was like kind of differing opinions on the kind of player that he could become. But I've been saying that I see superstar potential in this kid. And it's pretty interesting to me because I think as much as we want the Ben Simmons saga, I can't even say his name right, saga over, everyone just wants to move on from it. But obviously we as realists know that the team as a whole would still be better if he was playing than him not playing.
Absolutely.
That being said, I think it's a blessing in disguise that this happened because I don't think we would be seeing the same. We wouldn't be seeing as many minutes by Maxey, right. But I think Maxey has just basically said, you know what, we don't need Simmons. Obviously he's still raw. There's still, room to grow. But it's these kind of games that just show you that, okay, if he can just put it together when Embiid isn't on the court, because I think he's still struggling to kind of put out this kind of effort when Embiid is there. And I'm not saying it's because he doesn't have it in him. I think it might be like a confidence thing or maybe, I don't know about confidence, but there's something
he's 21.
there.
He's 21 years old. He just turned 21 like a month and a half ago. So he started this season at 20 years old. So, the confidence thing, you can gain that. You hit it on the head there. Just there's something different about him when he's on the floor with Joel and when he's not on the floor with Joel. He's more aggressive when Joel is not on the floor. And, again, playing with a superstar like Joel, first off, last night, Tyrese Maxey took, where is my box score here, 23 shots. So Tobias Harris took 25 shots. When Joel Embiid is on the floor, there isn't 23 shots for Tyrese Maxey to take. So, his ability, it's not confidence, it's his ability to understand, and maximizing, if he gets 15 shots a game, maximizing those 15 shots, not forcing anything, not feeling the need to do something, that he's not capable of doing. And again, he's 21 years old. He's played less than a full season of NBA basketball in his career because, let's be honest, he didn't play many games last year because he was back end of the bench most of last year till playoff time. And, this year, we're only halfway through this year. So he's got a long way to grow. And I put it out there last night. He's 21 years old. Can you imagine? Did you even fathom, when he's 23 years old, what he could be like? When he's 25 and hitting his prime, if he continues on his current trajectory, he's got potential to be an all-star player, no doubt about it. A voted all-star starter, no doubt about it. And, the other thing with the confidence, whether Embiid was there or not, you could see that he showed up yesterday wanting to go out. All eyes were on John Morant, first-time all-star starter, just voted, on Sunday. John Morant, I watched a lot of that game last night. He's great. I said it from day one that he was going to be a better player than Zion in that draft, and Zion went 1. Ja went 2 to the Grizzlies. The Grizzlies got so lucky that, he was there for them at number 2. mean, the guy's a marvel to watch play. The way he can move, the way he shoots, everything about Ja Morant's game, it's excellent. He's pretty damn young too. But Maxey's like, yo, let's put some of those eyes on me. And he used that moment to shine and just like, yo, let's go. You know what I mean? And that's what I love about him. But still, I go back to the fact that he's only 21 years old and he's got this moxie and this ability to lead a team minus their star in a huge game last night. And hey, what did I say? I won it January. There's 15 games. I won it 11-4. I figured they'd lose the last game of the month and finish 11-4. They won it. They finished the month 12-3. That's a major success. I don't care what the competition said, what the level of competition was. It's a huge successful month for the Sixers this past month.
I mean, they made tremendous ground in the standings.
Half a game out of first place in the Eastern Conference.
That's what I mean. And talk about that. Capitalizing and taking advantage of the situation. And like you said, I don't really care. You know, I still see people saying, well, look who they're playing. And you put
I got into it yesterday with
somebody. That ridiculous tweet by some nitwit about, the Embiid, is,
Embiid was ducking. So somebody came at me yesterday saying Embiid was ducking Steven Adams. And he could have sat against the Kings and played against them, but Steven Adams is so good. And he was coming at me saying that, dude, I know nothing about basketball because I don't think Steven Adams, Embiid was ducking Steven. What the heck? Why'd you even bring that up? You just ruined my day. I finally got over that. That might have been one of the most ridiculous tweets I've ever. Embiid averaged 34.5 points in the month of freaking January. I don't care who he played. Nobody averaged. Embiid, if he would have played last night and scored 34 points, he would have taken over the lead in NBA scoring. Centers in this day and age don't lead the league in scoring. Embiid is playing the most dominant basketball I've ever seen. Like I said yesterday on Overreaction Monday, and I've said it a few times, he's playing as elite, if not more elite, than Allen Iverson in the 2000-2001 season when he literally put that Sixers team of scrubs and carried them to the finals against the Lakers. That's what Embiid's doing. Go ahead.
And just to kind of piggyback off of what you're saying, we've already said that for this Sixers team which currently is constructed, the roster that we have now, to succeed, it's going to take everything and anything from Embiid.
Superman.
So, point being is, could it I think a lot of us have had this feeling of well, the Sixers aren't going to do any damage in this season if they don't make a big move. But if Embiid continues to play maximum effort like he is and stay healthy, I think it's a proven fact that he can carry this team. Obviously, there's going to be some buzzsaws in the playoffs, but is it possible? Absolutely.
Absolutely.
The way that he's playing right now, I don't see any team that could stop Joel Embiid. Even the guys that play him good, as far as center wise, even we saw Anthony Davis, Embiid still, we still won. Now, obviously, LeBron was out. I get that. But my point is that Joel Embiid, I've never seen what I'm seeing from him. And it's not even just his play. Yeah. For me, the biggest thing about Joe, I always struggle with saying Joel. I don't know why. Joel Embiid, the biggest thing that I've seen from him as far as him being a player is his leadership. His leadership is when
I don't want to forget about something here because you brought it up earlier and I already forgot to say it. You were saying how he was supporting and cheering the team on yesterday. Dude, in years past when Joel Embiid was forced to sit for load management or for rest or whatever you want to call it, he had this sourpuss look on his face. I want to be out there, and I'm pissed that they're not putting me out there. This year, he's still pissed that he's not out there, but he's like an extra coach, an extra motivator. And that just goes to show how much he's grown as a leader and as a human and as a leader. That's all I can say, as a leader in the NBA.
Dude, it's it's unfathomable because I was a guy that was I don't want to say hypercritical, but I was almost thinking that Embiid didn't have him in it. He didn't have that in him, the leadership quality. like that he had every other quality, but like that was one that he was going to struggle getting.
Right.
But you could just tell, and I think it's spot on, and you can see that he's taking the advice of guys like Shaq, Charles Barkley, Magic Johnson, like all these people that have like talked and taken Embiid under their wing and kind of told him like, dude, like you have it all. You just need to get better in this. You could see it because he's embraced it. And it's like evident that he's went from like this level to another level, like in a matter of, 2 seasons. Like it's absolutely awesome to watch. Obviously, everyone was so down and upset because they were like, damn, Embiid's out. But, Scotty said it was actually a good time, maybe a game late for him to be out. But the fact that they came together and they won that game against a Memphis Grizzlies team that's, let's face it, they're one of the best teams in the league right now. And you came out and beat them. I know it took overtime, but hey.
They would be first in the Eastern Conference. They would be the number 1 team in the Eastern Conference by 5 games if they were playing in the Eastern Conference. That's how good they are.
Yeah.
I mean, we're half a game out of first right now. We'd be 5.5 behind them right now, even with the win last night. That's how good Memphis Grizzlies are. So,
I think it's a statement. It's a statement win. And you know what? I've been so critical of Doc Rivers, but I'm also going to give Doc Rivers credit when it's due. I'm not saying this was necessarily Doc Rivers, but I think Doc Rivers maybe is starting to see that he needs to let this team kind of let them play the way that they play. Like, don't try to like overthink things.
Which I will say that Doc Rivers, I don't think I've ever seen it. I don't know if you caught the end of the fourth quarter before overtime, but Doc Rivers, as time expired, I mean, the last like 3 or 4 minutes a game in the fourth quarter and in overtime, I mean, the refs were totally one-sided. I mean, John Morant, you could blow a kiss at him and they would call a foul. You could jump on one of the Sixers' backs and they wouldn't call the foul. And at the very end of the game, the last play of the game, I think it was Maxey or Seth Curry had a shot, and literally someone crawled over his back. They didn't call a foul. Went into overtime, and in between the end of the fourth and overtime, Doc Rivers was so fired up he got called for a tee. Thank goodness that counts towards the overtime score. I'm sitting there, I'm like, does that count as a fourth quarter point? Because they knocked it. You go into overtime in all sports when there's a tie at end of regulation. We went into overtime down a point. I don't think I've ever seen that happen ever before. Actually, I kind of think that fired them up for overtime a little bit. So I guess he knew the rules a little bit better than I did. So I want to touch on it. So we're 10 days from the trade deadline now. February 10th is the trade deadline for the NBA. Whether it happens or not, we're talking about Joel Embiid and how great he's doing. He's playing Superman ball. We talk about Tyrese Maxey and game in and game out, growing and getting better. I want to bring up my boy Tobias Harris. I know he struggled in November. He struggled in December, but he definitely picked it up in the month of January. His last 10 games alone, he's averaging almost 21 points a game. He's got his 3-point shot up to 50% over those 10 games, 54% from the field overall, 7 rebounds, 3 assists. He's averaging over a steal a game. Tobias Harris needs some credit put on him. We don't win last night without him leading our team in shots and scoring last night. And the Sixers fans have been down on him, and I have been too, and I fell into the trap of thinking maybe it was time to move on from him. It's just he's in a wrong role as the second star when he should be the third or fourth star on the team. And he's still a really, really good and very capable basketball player, and I think Philadelphia needs to put some cred on the work that Tobias Harris has put in to get his game back on track.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I think,
absolutely correct. Who would have thought half a game back?
Well, it's crazy, and I'm not an athlete, but I have suffered COVID. Okay. And I'm not gonna lie, dude. I'm like 3 weeks later, and I'm still kind of feeling like not myself.
Right.
So I can only imagine what it could be like for an athlete that has a bad case of it.
Yeah.
As far as their conditioning and as far as like, being winded and affecting how you feel. So I'm not using it as an excuse, but what I am saying is that it's very possible that he was right. Because if you look at his game, like you said, really struggled in November.
December after
Struggled in December. But you're right. Like his last 10 to 12 games, it's been the Tobias Harris the Tobias Harris firing on all cylinders, Tobias. And yes, the criticism is unfair because let's face it, in reality, he is a 3. But right now on this team, he's playing as the 2. Mm-hmm. When I say the 2, the 2-star.
Yeah, I know.
So, yeah, I agree. I think Tobias Harris most definitely has it in him to be, fully capable of, being one of the better players on this team. It's just a matter of, putting it all together, being consistent. And I think he's quieted people because I haven't saw as much.
Just wait till he has a bad game. There's going to be a game coming up in the next month or so that he's going to go 3 of 15 shooting or something like that. And the Tobias haters are going to come back out of the woodwork. And look, again, I don't want to give him a pass. He obviously struggled and his confidence got shook. And Tobias isn't one. I called it the clapback when he clapped back around at the fans. The clapback hurt around Philly. That's not like him. So you could definitely see his frustration, growing. But I wish I could find the exact date. He came out after the game when he clapped at the fans and he apologized. He's like, that's not me. The frustrations, I hear you. And since then, since that moment, it's been like it's been like the Tobias of old. He's worked, he's put his head down, he's gotten back on track. And, it's really important. And I know Scotty's checking in now. He's a big Tobias fan just like me. It's refreshing to see an athlete struggle, have a moment of doubt, a moment of frustration boil over, and instead of letting that ruin them, or because that could have snowballed. Ben Simmons, you see what happened to him when he didn't get his way and the fans booed him or whatever it was. Tobias Harris, he took it, he worked on it, and like I said, he's shooting confidently again. He's not hesitating. He's taking his quick shots. He's doing exactly what he needs to do. And, he led the team. I mean, Tyrese Maxey's getting all the fanfare because he's 21. He's the point guard. He does whatever. But we don't win that game without Tobias Harris stepping up and playing a huge game last night.
No, and then, you're touching
physically
on
and mentally, Scotty. Physically and mentally tough as nails. I want to make sure that's, put in there.
Scotty, I absolutely 100% spot on. Like, I'm actually somebody that I've never really gotten on Tobias because I know what Tobias is.
Right.
And so I'm kind of like not giving him a pass, but understanding what Tobias is as a player. And you're right. He does bring a toughness that, this team desperately needs. And honestly, I think that's kind of rubbed off on Embiid because Embiid, to me, has been the toughest player in the league right now. Like, the way he gets hit and knocked down and, kind of sometimes, like, makes plays that you're like, oh, my God, how did he do that? And speaking of Embiid, I kind of want to give a shout-out to Andre Drummond because how refreshing has it been to have a backup center that can come in? And I'm not saying Drummond is dominating, but he's playing decent basketball and, like, it's almost like,
people forget he was an all-star like 3 years ago.
I think he's like the perfect complement to Embiid.
It's funny. I joke about it. I wish we could, how like you take one person's picture and like you fade it into another person's picture?
Yeah.
We need to take, if Scotty, you're listening, I know you know some people, because the evolution of Joel Embiid's backup, it started with Amir Johnson, then it turned into Al Horford. So you could fade Amir Johnson's face into Al Horford's face, fade that into Dwight Howard's face, then fade that into Andre Drummond's face. I mean, it's crazy. And Andre Drummond's on a 1-year deal. He's playing because he still thinks he's got it in him to be a starter in the league. He's a perfect compliment because you lose some of that offensive prowess with Andre Drummond when Joel's not out there. But the guy to expect the guy to play 20 straight games at 15 minutes a game and then to come out and play 43 minutes last night. I mean, yes, he's well rested, but there's a difference in endurance factor when you're playing 15 minutes in a game to 43 minutes in a game. And your body gets used to playing those 15 minutes a game, and to just be able to dig deep last night and put out 43 of not just 43 minutes, 43 effective minutes. The Memphis Grizzlies, I don't know if you're aware of this, they are one of the top rebounding teams in the league. I think it's like number 3, something like that. And the Sixers do struggle rebounding the ball because outside of Embiid, their guys just just don't grab rebounds. They don't block out well enough and stuff like that. To grab 20, we beat the Grizzlies in rebounds last night. We out-rebounded them 49-48 last night. So that says something right there. And that's all on Andre Drummond's 23 last night.
As
Scotty
what I mean.
A monster.
23 total rebounds is absolutely impressive. Like, that's what I mean. Like, I love the fact, and I think he's the perfect backup, and he's probably the best backup. I know, obviously, Al Horford was like big name player that came in here, but he was terrible. Yeah. He was absolutely terrible. Andre Drummond is like the perfect fit because, like you said, he's a guy that can go to the role when he's backing up Embiid, when Embiid's playing, and still get those key minutes and rebounds and do the stuff that defensively this team needs. But when Embiid is out, yeah, he might not score 40 points like Embiid, but he did score 16. But to have 23 total rebounds and, like Scotty said, 10 offensive rebounds,
right? That
to me is prime. I mean, I'm definitely impressed with Andre Drummond, and I love the fact that we got him. Yeah. And I think it's huge.
So real quick, I mean, 10 days, well, less than 10 days now till the trade deadline. Ben Simmons stuff's still hanging over. You know, I said it before. Can Joel Embiid carry this team on his back like he did, like Allen Iverson did in 2000, 2001? And I as it stands, I mean, it'll be tough. Obviously, it's very tough to do that in this day and age. But if we can't trade Joel Embiid, and, you know, as Scotty said, I hope he never had a Halliburton trade on the table and turned it down. Yeah, I agree. But if we can't trade Ben Simmons, but Daryl Morey could pull off some minor bench upgrades, can that be enough? Can we upgrade Shake Milton? Can we upgrade Danny Green? Upgrade Furkan Korkmaz? You know, everybody was talking about yesterday, Spencer Dinwiddie. You know, the rumors coming out, him with the Brooklyn Nets. He's unhappy there. He wants out. I know he's not the player he once was, but maybe that's because of the situation in Brooklyn. He's sharing minutes and shots with James Harden, Kevin Durant, you know, Kyrie Irving when he's out there. Someone like Spencer Dinwiddie, and I looked it up. You know, I saw someone say, you know, could you maybe trade like Shake Milton and, you know, Danny Green for him? And I did the math. I don't do the NBA trade machines. I don't put mock trades out there, but I do use it to figure out the financial aspects of it. And Shake Milton and Danny Green doesn't financially work. It gets denied every single time. So I put it up there. So I just wanted to see this morning. So Spencer Dinwiddie, to get Spencer Dinwiddie financially to make it work. Now, I'm not saying the Nets would accept this, but you would need to trade Danny Green and Furkan Korkmaz to get it to work. At least 14.6. That combo of contracts would be the minimum it would take. And you'd be bringing in Spencer Dinwiddie. Would he accept a backup point guard role? I don't know. Yeah, sorry, DC. He's not with Brooklyn. He used to be with Brooklyn. He's in DC now. So Bradley Beal, you know, he's not fitting next to him. Well, yeah, it's my bad, Scott. I don't know why. I was looking at his NBA history, and it says Brooklyn. And I kind of forgot he was with Washington now. My bad. Sometimes my mouth just starts talking before my mind, you know, starts thinking. But anyway.
It's too early.
Yeah, it's way too early, and my coffee's already empty here. So when you see me take a sip of my coffee, I'm just doing it to look cool on the air. And there's nothing left in my coffee cup at this point. Something like that, you know, Spencer Dinwiddie, it would improve. You know, it would be an upgrade over Shake Milton. It'd be an upgrade over Furkan. But you would lose Danny Green. And I know people don't like Danny Green, but Danny Green is still, you know, a quality, experienced, championship caliber player. He had a good game last night. Made some shots last night. So, you know, is that kind of move or another ancillary move like that enough?
I love that word, by the way.
What, ancillary?
I was just, if you were continuing and you didn't use it, I was going to bring that up, that you always make, you know, note of ancillary moves that this team, you know, can make and how important they are. But I think you're right. Honestly, I think you're on to something, because I think this team can, even if it makes a few small minor tweaks, I think it's enough to compete. Will they win a championship? It's going to be rough. But like I said, if Embiid continues playing the way he is, I don't see it being impossible. Because remember, and you were making kind of the comparison back to the AI, season when he kind of carried that team. Obviously, they went up against the Lakers that year, and, you know, they were just like one of those super teams that, you know, just kind of – it would have been super amazing had that Sixers team won. Let's just
Yeah.
put it that way.
I mean,
But like I said, the way that Embiid is playing, I wouldn't bet against him against anybody. So
absolutely.
I think if you do upgrade some small minor moves and kind of tweak the roster to kind of work on your weaknesses. Now, I mean, in your opinion, what is this team's biggest weakness?
The bench. Because Scotty's saying here, if Seth, Tobias, and Maxey can roll with Embiid at the same time, they contend. Absolutely. And in a playoff situation, I know last year I talked about this and he didn't do it. You normally shrink your rotation in the playoffs. Doc Rivers did. He still ran 10-man rotations in the playoffs, and I think that was part of the problem. But, if Seth, Tobias, and Maxey and Embiid are all healthy come playoff time and they're all clicking on all cylinders, those four can carry you in a series. But is it enough? I don't know, because if Maxey has a bad day or needs a blow or whatever, Scotty says if you bring in a Dinwiddie, you can move Seth to the bench, Seth Curry. And I actually agree with that. It's something I've thought about before. Seth Curry, I've said it before, is kind of the offense runs through Curry and Embiid sometimes. And it's kind of similar to the way, Embiid and JJ Redick, ran the offense. But just like JJ Redick, sometimes I think Seth Curry plays too many minutes and he gets a little winded. You can't have a shooter, a guy that just takes 3-point shots, have tired legs. And I worry. I know Seth Curry's younger, more athletic than JJ Redick, but it does worry me. Your 6th, 7th guy, you still need a 6th, 7th, 8th guy on the bench come playoff time. And right now, Furkan, I love Furkan. He's one of my favorite players just because he's fun. He's, he can make a clutch 3 here or there, but he's not important. He's not good enough come playoff time. Danny Green having his worst season, in the last couple of years, still has the playoff experience, but whatever. Shake Milton, we miss Shake Milton right now. But I said it before we started missing him. He's just not. He's not good enough.
How long is Milton out?
They keep saying maybe tomorrow. Maybe tomorrow. They're pulling an Eagles with like Brandon Brooks here. Yeah. So who knows when when Shake's gonna be back? Look, you got to find a way to upgrade bench. Whether it's Spencer Dinwiddie. Spencer Dinwiddie is just the new name. That's why I'm bringing him up, or something else to upgrade. You need a backup guard that can come in and take over, and that's what you need. You need someone that can ball handle and get his shot. So when Maxey's not in there, you don't need Joel Embiid being your backup point guard, which is basically when Tyrese Maxey's not on the court, basically it's either Furkan Korkmaz or Joel Embiid carrying the ball up. So you don't need that, and you don't want that. So that's the issue right there. You need a backup guard.
Absolutely, not a point center.
Yeah, not a point center. Absolutely. That is the absolute worst. Anyway, you said ancillary move. I got to give a shout out to Mr. Iezzi. He was my Latin teacher in high school. I went to Devon Prep, Roll Tide. He used to always say from freshman year right up to taking the SATs, whenever he would say a word that somebody didn't know, he would point to you and go, Mr. Phillip, ancillary, write that down, good SAT word. And he would just do that. And he would give us a little random word test throughout the week. I named 5 words. What do these words mean? And he would talk just like that. So shout out to Mr. Iezzi. I don't even know whatever happened to him. Ancillary. It's a good SAT word. Write it down.
Definitely. I love it.
I got a lot of random
words. I
don't even know it. I might be using it in the wrong sense. I don't even know because I didn't do very good on my SAT. I went to private school and all, but I don't know, how I did so poorly on my SAT.
It sounds right.
Yeah, it sounds right. I know a lot of really big words that I don't know the real true meanings of. So, yeah. All right, let's switch. Let's get to George's favorite topic, the Eagles. Okay, we got to talk Eagles because obviously, we talked a lot of football yesterday, but mostly around quarterbacks and the NFC Championship and AFC Championship games yesterday. So yesterday, my man Jimmy Kempski, and I like Jimmy Kempski's work. He writes for Philly Voice. I'll try to get him on the show at some point this offseason. He did an Eagles mock draft for Philly Voice yesterday. And I read it. And everybody knows just as much as I hate the NBA trade machine, I hate mock drafts from most people just because, there's a million of people just like us that do podcasts and write for websites, freelance and stuff. And we write and we talk about what we want the Eagles or our team to do. We talk about, we want a linebacker with 15, a cornerback. We talk about what we want, but we don't actually look at what Howie does and make, mocks on what he's more likely to do versus what we want. Oh, George wants to talk Flyers. Hold on, George. Hold on. Where am I? What's up with the Flyers? They won a game. All right, we're done talking Flyers. We're done talking that right there. So people don't talk about what they think will happen or what, versus what they want to happen. And if you read Jimmy Kempski's mock draft, and I put it out on Twitter, and everyone took what I put out there wrong, thinking that's what I wanted. Not everybody. Some people understood it. But, I'm getting all these people commenting like, well, that's stupid. No. Yeah, it's stupid. It's not smart. It's not what we want. But if you look at Howie Roseman's track record, he drafts in the trenches, interior offensive linemen, offensive tackles, defensive linemen. He drafts wide receivers. He drafts – they obviously put higher value on certain positions early in the draft versus later in the draft. They put more value on free agency in certain positions versus the draft. And, and that's why this draft, while it probably won't play out this way because there's going to be so many mock drafts and then the combine and everything else. And, you got the Senior Bowl coming up this weekend. So much going on, and people's draft positions are going to change. But his article and his draft kind of highlights what Howie could potentially do. All right, so I want to go over this, Jason. And first off, do you agree with what I'm saying on how people get confused over what they want over what Howie potentially could do?
It happens all the time. I mean, we're passionate fans. Obviously, Eagles have one of the most passionate fan bases in America. Like, everyone has an opinion. You see it. You don't have to go any further than the quarterback debate with Jalen Hurts to see how there's a difference. I mean, there's differing sides. But the problem is there seems to be a lack of the middle ground. It generally when it comes to the Eagles, there's no like gray. It's either black or white. There's never enough there's never an honest debate. It's always like, well, no, my way or the highway. And I think you see that a lot of times. You're right that these writers, that a lot of them that do these mocks, yes, they do who they want. But I think Jimmy Kempski, to me, has been one of the more, I don't want to say homerish, but more the opposite, more realistic in his viewpoints. And, obviously you're going to get into it and show the
and I want to bring up George's comment. Yes, do you remember the cupboard being this bare? The cupboard was this bare. I mean, the same needs we have outside of defensive end. We thought we were a little better off at defensive end last year. Brandon Graham getting hurt wasn't expected. We all still had some hopes for, Derek Barnett, but we still had a void at linebacker last year. We still had a void at cornerback last year. We still had a void at safety. We didn't know how or when Rodney McLeod would come back, and we didn't have a safety opposite of last year going into the offseason. Kayvon Wallace, was one of our projected starters because there was nobody else on the roster at that point. So just because the cupboard's bare, he still went and drafted a wide receiver with their first pick in the first round. So it just, again, goes to show they needed a linebacker. Micah Parsons was there. Yeah, they wouldn't have been able to make that trade with Dallas, but they could have done other trades, whatever. There were other options. Jabril Peppers, he went in the second or third round. He was another linebacker that, was highly touted in a lot of people's Eagles draft boards. There was never a chance because that's just not what he drafts. So we were bare in the cupboard last year on defense. And he spent his mid-round picks on linebackers, on cornerbacks, and stuff like that. So when we get into this Jimmy Kempski draft, first off, the first pick at pick 15, Matt Corral, quarterback Ole Miss. Yeah, he's not likely to draft a quarterback at number 15. Most likely not. But if you think about it, last year, there's a lot of talk that the Eagles were thinking about moving up for Justin Fields, moving up for Zach Wilson, Trey Lance, all names that the Eagles were linked to multiple times last year. So if you think it's out of the realm of possibilities that the Eagles draft a quarterback in the first round, not at 15 necessarily, because I don't think, that's probably the spot. Maybe at 16. That's more realistic than 15. I'm just kidding. Nobody laughed at that. I wish I had like a hold on. I have it. Yeah, I'm laughing at my own jokes now. 15 is not realistic for Matt Corral, but the fact that there's a good chance that they could draft a quarterback at the later in the first round or in the second round, it's a very realistic possibility because the Eagles obviously prioritize young quarterbacks. Do you agree on that at least?
Yeah, quarterback factory, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It didn't go away. Stop it. The certainty's on the earth.
Yeah, I know, but I understand that, George. You make a fair point, and I agree with you. But he's never valued defense other than defensive line. And I don't doubt the fact that one of his first 3 picks in the first round will be a defensive lineman,
Okay.
whether it's an end or a tackle. There will be a defensive lineman taken in the first round. No doubt about it.
Here's where I'm at, and I'm not trying to cut you off, but I have a really important thing I want to get to.
Yeah, get to it.
I don't agree that I agree. Once again, this is a mock draft, and we're kind of reviewing it and kind of, we're not saying we agree with Jimmy Kempski. Okay. It's a mock draft, and we're discussing that. Here's where I'm at with it. If the Eagles are all in on Hurts, okay, and let's face it, Howie Roseman, don't forget, he's a very smug guy, and he wants to be right, okay? Do you think in Howie Roseman's heart of hearts, he wants Jalen Hurts to fail? Because if Jalen Hurts fails, that's going to show that I made a mistake on Wentz, and now I made a mistake on Hurts. Absolutely, Howie Roseman wants Jalen Hurts to succeed.
Right.
So if you look at that mentality and you look at Howie Roseman, the GM, I don't care how bare the cupboard is at defense. I'm not going to lie, dude. I don't necessarily think they're going to go quarterback in round one, right? Or they're not.
Yeah.
No, but here's where I'm at. They most certainly could go wide receiver in round one.
Well, that's the third part of the mock draft.
Well, I know, and we'll get to that, but here's where I'm at with it. They're going to do whatever they can in their power to improve this offense around Jalen Hurts, regardless of how bad the defense is. Because if I know Howie Roseman's track record, he's not going to be afraid to go after defense in free agency, because they've done that how many times? You did it with how many times? You brought in, look at your safeties the last 5 or 6 years. Who did you have at safety? Rodney McLeod was a free agent, correct?
Right.
Who was the guy that I'm forgetting? They're really good.
Anthony Harris this past year.
No, you had
Javon Wallace,
the Super Bowl era.
Oh, from the Malcolm Jenkins.
Malcolm Jenkins was
free agent.
Was he a trade or a free agent?
I believe he was a free agent.
Okay.
He was signed.
So Howie's track record, if you look at this team, when they draft the trenches. So they're going to draft. If they're going to draft, it's going to be a defensive end, defensive tackle,
offensive line.
On the offensive side of things, it's going to be offensive line, center, wide receiver.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, look, again, George, I agree with you. I don't think there's a possibility, but I'm just trying to prepare people for the fact that, if he moves back late in the first round or comes back up late in the first round, or you got an early mid, I think it's like 51 in the second round. If one of these guys falls, it's I don't want people to be surprised. It's just what they do, Look, get back to the draft, all right? So Matt Corral, and I've never watched a single minute of Matt Corral tape, and I watched, I watched the highlights that Jimmy Kempski posted of Matt Corral. Dude, he's not that much better than Jalen Hurts anyway. I really didn't, he writes in the article that maybe we're undervaluing this year's quarterback class. I don't know. I'll watch more tape over the coming days of some of these other quarterbacks in the class, but none of them really jump off the page. But yeah, so the second pick that he made in the first round with pick 16 was a defensive end from Purdue. His name's George Karlaftis. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. It's what it looks like, Karlaftis. He's a 6'4", 275. He's a high-effort guy is what he's described as, a violent player. But let's be honest, in his last 2 seasons, he's had a combined 6.5 sacks. So it's not like he's a guy that jumps off the page, with huge stats and numbers. Again, that's typically what Howie does. He goes and he reaches for a guy that he sees potential is, and the analytics, and he got a lot of quarterback pressures, and he got in the face of a quarterback a lot and thinks it can translate into a great end. We said it yesterday. What is one thing that all 4 teams playing on Sunday had? A fantastic pass rush, fantastic defensive end play. Whether this is the guy or not, this is a Howie-type pick. Not necessarily the guy that everybody wants to pick, but a fantastic, it definitely seems like a Howie pick. Don't be surprised. Again, I think we can all agree that him getting an end with one of those 3 picks, if he takes all 3 picks, is a for sure, no doubt about it.
Yeah, I'm not necessarily sold on. I was reading about this guy. I'm not necessarily sold on him. If I'm going defensive end, I'm going for the guy from Michigan.
Yeah. Obviously.
Stop.
You know what? If you want to, I would trade 2 of the picks to move up. If one of there's the 2 top guys, the other Michigan guy and the other guy, Hutchinson, and what's the other guy's name?
Well, Hutchinson's probably going to go first. So I don't think you have
every year as we get closer to the draft, teams start grasping for quarterback straws. I won't rule out. I know none of them are. To me, none of these quarterbacks are even first grade talents. But
if you had a shot at Hutchinson, I would be absolutely in on trading 2 of our firsts to move up and get him.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep. Absolutely.
And another first because he's a game changer.
Absolutely.
We're talking about – I don't want a middling guy at 15. I don't want that because you're right. That's Howie's track record, but he's done it with Derek Barnett. Brandon Graham's is the exception, not the norm.
Brandon Graham had to work at it. Brandon Graham was considered a bust by many.
That's what I mean. But Brandon Graham's the exception. Brandon Graham did kind of develop.
He did the work.
I don't want that. If I want a defensive end, you're talking about these teams that have it. They all have. Not only do they have great pass rushes, they have game-changing players like superstars.
Yeah.
I mean, Aaron Donald is a superstar.
Von Miller
is a superstar.
Bosa.
The Bengals. Bosa's. I mean, dude, everywhere you look, you have superstar talent, but they're usually high picks because those guys don't come available.
Yeah,
it's not a wonder that they're one of the higher paid positions in the league. I mean, you got quarterback, defensive tackle, defensive end,
and left tackle.
Exactly. So. To me, if I want that defensive end, yes, I would so be happy if the Eagles traded up to get one of the best ones. I don't see it happening.
Yeah, right. And there's some other really good guys out there. The second guy from Michigan is a really good prospect, and he's on most people's draft board around this 15th, 16th pick. But yet, Jimmy Kempski writes this guy in here again, Karlaftis, just because it's what Howie does. He uses that analytics and he tries to find that guy. All right, so the third pick in the first round, he's got them taking Jamison Williams, the wide receiver from Alabama. Again, been saying it over and over again. And you just said it earlier and agreed with me. A wide receiver in the first round is not out of the realm of possibilities. Okay, and this guy, Jamison Williams,
opposed to that, dude. I got to be honest. I mean, watching tape, when the guy's healthy, it's like another. I mean, he's probably a little bit different type player than Devonta Smith.
But the problem with Williams is he tore his ACL in the title game. So again, he tore it, that if he drafts this guy, a guy that's got game-breaking speed, he's a little bit bigger than Devonta Smith. He's 6'2", 190 approximately, but big game-changing big game-changing ability. But again, tore his ACL. Landon Dickerson tore his ACL also last year. Time frame wise, he would be, if all went well and they say it was a clean tear and his rehabilitation goes quickly enough, he'll be available possibly by week 1, but he'd miss all off-season workouts and stuff like that. Howie just loves to draft. We had it with Sidney Jones, Landon Dickerson last year, which worked out. Landon Dickerson, Sidney Jones, not so much. He loves drafting these guys in the first and second round with torn ACLs. I mean, and Williams, if he gets healthy and he's fine, that's great because, today's day and age, most people do recover from an ACL just fine. But, it would just be, again, Howie's MO to draft an injured player in the first round here. Yeah,
I mean, but like I said, I'm looking at Jamison as a guy that I get it with the injury. But if you look at this new age of NFL and new age of football, an ACL injury is like basically, with modern medicine, like ACL doesn't scare me anymore. Like it doesn't. Right. It really doesn't, especially with a wide receiver. I would much rather them take a guy like Jamison Williams, with an injury, as opposed to, I'm trying to see the guy's name that I'm concerned about because I saw a lot of mocks having this guy's name, and this guy reminds me of J.J. Arcega-Whiteside.
I saw an article
looking in our group chat. Carter.
I don't even want to know if there's a player compared. If you're in college and your NFL player comparison is J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, oh my God, that would be another Jeffrey Lurie.
I'm being honest though. This is a guy
I remember seeing that in the group chat too, but that was probably like
I can't think of his name. He's a tall. He's a tall guy, and like it just scares me. It kind of reminds me of like J-Jaw 2.0, and I'm like, no, I do not want that guy. Get him off my board. If we're going wide receiver, it's go big or go home to me. You take the guys from Alabama, LSU. Look at the track record the last few years. I mean, DJ Shark, LSU. Justin Jefferson, LSU.
Yeah. I agree.
Jamar LSU.
Yeah.
Devonta Smith.
You grab the top guys from these top college programs. And that's what the Eagles, so in Jimmy Kempski's mock draft, he has in round 2, pick 51, he has them taking Christian Harris, the linebacker from Alabama. Now, he's 6'2", 232. He had a really good season, 79 tackles, 5.5 sacks, a couple forced fumbles. But it was his national championship game that put him on a lot of people's radars. He had 3 sacks and a forced fumble in that game. He's a pretty athletic beast, He's played safety and cornerback in high school. He played wide receiver at a point in high school. Getting a wide receiver from Alabama and a linebacker. Now, a linebacker even in the second round, to me, is a reach based off of Howie's MO. If he doesn't get a first-round wide receiver, he probably gets a second-round wide receiver. If he doesn't get, I just look at the MO and the track record and the trend of Howie Roseman. But if he goes and grabs him, now I think, and I did see a lot of people tweet out, during the national championship game about Christian Harris, watch Eagles fans start to drool over the guy over one game and not know what his real game tape is like. And that does concern me a little bit. When I see experts typing those kind of comments, it concerns me. But if you can get a linebacker from Alabama or LSU, and then he has in the third round, the Eagles taking an offensive lineman, a versatile offensive lineman from Georgia, another major program. If you can get me guys from LSU, Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, get me guys from the teams that play in the big games every single year. And that's what I want. I don't care what positions they play.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm going linebacker,
I'm not worried about it, George. It seems to be something that he does a lot. What we're talking about is what Howie's trends are, and he does not get scared of them, but it doesn't always work out. It just doesn't. Sorry.
No, there's no reason to be sorry. But if I want a linebacker, I would rather take the best one on the board if he's there at 15.
Yeah, absolutely agree with you.
I would not. I would much rather take the guy that's the home run, like no doubt about it. And to me, that's
when was the last time a linebacker was drafted in the first round by the Eagles? Like 1979 or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, even
it was a long time. It was before I was born.
Who was the last second-round linebacker?
I don't know. Was it Trotter a third?
Trotter?
Was Trotter a second or a third?
Thought he was a second.
It might have been wrong. Yeah, maybe. I don't remember.
But anyway, needless to say, I think that the point of the whole segment was the fact that we were just kind of going over mock drafts and the differences.
Yeah, what we'll do is maybe later this week. Maybe what we'll try to do is once a week as we lead up to the draft, we'll do a show where you do a mock draft and I do a mock draft and we compare them live on the show. And then the next week after we learn more, we do another draft. We'll try to do once a week. We'll do a mock draft, especially after the Super Bowl. Maybe that could be our Football Friday segment after the Super Bowl. We'll do some mock drafts on what we would like to see the Eagles do, and we'll grade them and stuff like that and see. But this was more about what is, there is no home run draft pick. It takes your team, your coaches, development, all that kind of stuff to make a good play, a good college player, a great pro player.
Yeah, but I don't necessarily agree with George there. I mean, obviously that's not surprise. Devonta Smith to me was a home run guy. Jamar Chase is a home run guy. Like they are. Right. I don't agree. Like you took the safe guy that came from a bigger college. Generally, they're going to work out. Is there busts? There's busts everywhere. But I'm saying I like going for the guy that has a track record. You don't want to see any more J-Jaws. You don't want to see any more Raegers. You don't want to see that. And that's part of the problem with Howie. He overthinks things. And that's why I don't like that other guy, the defensive end for Purdue. It's not that he's probably good, but I don't like going.
He's got a high motor.
It's on analytics. I want to go on what they've done in big college programs. Because to me, the most important thing over anything, over even stats, is moxie and leadership and being able to handle the big stage. Right. You see it with You see it with Joe Burrow. I mean, perfect example.
So real quick before we wrap it up, I just want to shout out some more trends in this draft. In the round 4, they got a Nebraska cornerback safety, a guy that plays a little bit of both, but both are out of position for him. Cam Taylor-Britt. They've got him taking a tight end from Nevada in the 5th round. Again, not another linebacker or safety or cornerback, a tight end. They got him taking, a Coastal Carolina linebacker in the 5th round. A small version of Jordan Howard running back, a 5'11" pounder, Abram Smith from Baylor in the 5th round. An offensive tackle from Nigeria in the 6th round, a 6'8", 334 guy, from TCU and Nigeria, a guy that doesn't have much football experience. Again, if you go through all those picks, that's what Howie does. You go get a cornerback that's not really a cornerback, he's a safety, but he can kind of be a cornerback, but he can kind of be a safety. Basically what Javon Wallace is. Go get another small running back, another tight end, It's like there's just not a lot of so Jimmy Kempski's mock here is taking into account needs but also track record. And that's just why I found it an interesting read. I didn't agree with it. I don't even think Jimmy Kempski agrees with it. It's just an interesting thought process when you're building your draft. What will happen?
Yeah, I just hope we stay away from TCU altogether.
Yeah, we don't need any more TCU players on this team. No,
I don't.
Come on now. If Andy Dalton was available to be backup, you don't want Andy Dalton. Wasn't he a TCU guy? Yeah, he was a TCU guy. Yeah.
TCU wide receivers.
Oh my God. I don't know. Yeah, I know you don't agree with it, George. And like I said, I don't agree with it in the sense of needs. I agree with it in sense of, I don't care that, if you say that Howie has to realize that he needs certain things, he needed things. He always needs certain positions, and he just sticks to a certain thing. Again, I don't think he I agree with you on the one sense, George, that I don't think they draft 3 first-round picks. It might be 2. It might only be 1, like you think, which that means we have a whole bunch of 2nd and 3rd round picks, to debate. But, there's one mock draft site where you can trade draft picks. I have to figure out which one that is.
I have it.
Yeah, you have to send me the link to which site allows you to make trades, and I'll try to do some mock drafts, trading away some of these picks into 2023 to see what's the best value I can get.
It'll initiate trades it'll say 49ers are sending you this or whatever.
Yeah. And then you could do the same thing.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So anyway, this was trending in the AM right here on DSM Media. Great episode today, talking about that big Sixers win, talking about the mock draft from Jimmy Kempski of the Eagles. Look, we got lots to talk about all week long. Yeah, he could trade down, get 3 firsts for next year potentially, and still have a couple firsts. Yeah, absolutely, I agree with you. We'll see how that plays out.
I just want to give a shout out to my co-host from Sports and Metal, Aaron Savage. Check him out on Twitter. On our last episode, he predicted Bengals Super Bowl win, and it's looking pretty good right now. And
yeah. I mean, I won't make my prediction for the Super Bowl till next week because I just don't want to. I want the overhype and the overexcitement that I have for the Bengals right now to subside. I want to look at it, realistically, not just the, we're all everybody in the country is all hyped up over the Bengals right now. So I kind of want to let that subside so I could think, open-minded and clearly about it and not just be all Joe Burrowed up and everything. So, it should be a good Super Bowl, though, the Rams and the Bengals.
Well, I'm happy for Matt Stafford. I know I've been saying it for a while. I think he's a guy that a lot of people, call overrated, but, I certainly don't agree with that statement. I think playing on that Detroit team, and, a lot of people like to bring up the fact, oh, he had Calvin Johnson. Yeah, he had Calvin Johnson early in his career, but they had no defense. They had no team. You can have a quarterback and a great wide receiver and not do anything or go anywhere. I mean, even look at Aaron Rodgers with Devontae Adams. They have 1 Super Bowl.
Right.
And he didn't have – I don't think that was with Devontae Adams. When he won the Super Bowl, it was, I believe, Jordy Nelson was the wide receiver at that point. So I don't even think Devontae Adams was there.
Anyway.
I agree. I think it's going to be – I think regardless of the situation, I think everybody, all passionate football fans can agree that this has been one amazing postseason.
Yeah, absolutely.
NFL.
The last couple weeks, the wild card round.
Yeah, the wild card round
had some clunkers.
Left a little to be desired. Unfortunately, one of the games was our game, but
yeah, unfortunately, yeah.
But I think that just goes to show you that we were kind of the 7th team and just got in, and we're just not ready yet. Yeah. We got in by default. The fact that we were in a bad division and a lot of other.
Great. Anyway, all right, so we got to wrap this up. Trending in the AM Monday through Friday, DSM Media, 8:30 a.m. Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube. Make sure you continue to follow, share, like. Head over to my Twitter page, pinned to the top of the page. I'm running a contest for DraftKings. If you want a free entry into the Super Bowl Millie Maker, head over to my Twitter page, check out the pin tweet, and find out how you can enter, and I will give you the entry to take a shot at $1 million. Check it out. And yeah, we are brought to you here at DSM Media, all shows by Manscaped, the leader in men's grooming products. Check them out, manscaped.com. Use promo code DSM at checkout. Get you 20% off, free shipping, and let them know Team DSM sent you. Tonight on on DSM Media, I got Fairway to Heaven with my man Jason Sullivan. We'll be breaking down the Pebble Beach Pro-Am. I had a great week fantasy golf-wise and betting on golf last week. So, make sure you tune in, get some great information from Jason and I, and maybe make some money. I picked a 75-1 golfer to win the event. He won it. I had 10 times return on my DraftKings money this week. Let's see if I can keep that ball rolling this week. Tune in tonight, 9 p.m. right here on DSM Media. And maybe I'll get a little information from Jason at the end of the show about Matthew Stafford, because he lives up in Detroit and he's basically everything you just said about Matthew Stafford. Jason Sunday night texted me literally all that exact same stuff, because he's a big Detroit Lions fan and he's a big Matt Stafford fan. So I'm going to get a little Matt Stafford information at the end of the golf podcast from him.
I love Jason. If you haven't checked him out, please do so. Great guy.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, very knowledgeable.
Make sure you're following Jason at Mustang3651. He'll be on all week with me, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I don't even know what's on the agenda the rest of the week. This is the problem. Once the Eagles season ends this week, in between the Super Bowl and the championship game, there's not quite as much. Actually, the MLB is having another meeting with the Players Association today. Maybe we'll get some baseball information to talk about tomorrow, along with another Sixers preview. I'll find a topic football-wise to talk about for tomorrow. And, on that note, we're going to sign off for the day. Thank you all for tuning in. And, as we like to end every show with.
Go Birds.
Go Birds.